I want you to quit. Just quit. Resign from the entire thing. I know that goes against everything you have been told since you were a child. I know it sounds like the advice of a lazy person, or a defeated person, or a person who never amounted to anything. I am 87 years old, and I am going to tell you why it is the wisest thing anybody has ever said to you. I live in a small wooden cabin in northern Vermont. I have no mortgage. I have no credit cards. I do not own a smartphone. I have never seen a single episode of any streaming show. My cabin has a wood stove and a hand pump for water and a bookshelf that takes up the entire west wall. By every measure your generation uses, I am a complete and total failure. Let me tell you what I gave up to become this failure. In 1958, I graduated from Vassar College at the top of my class. I had been accepted to graduate school at Columbia. I had a scholarship. I had a fiancé who was going to Harvard Law. I had what every young woman in 1958 was supposed to want. I walked away from all of it, the graduate program, the fiancé, the future they had laid out for me. I became a public school librarian in Boston. I worked there for 40 years. I made a small salary. I lived in a small apartment. I never married. I never had children. I never owned a car. Society told me for 68 years that I had wasted my potential. Pause. Let me tell you something. Every single woman in my Vassar graduating class is either dead or medicated. Most are both. The fiancé I left went on to become a partner at a Wall Street firm. He died of a heart attack at 61 in his office. He left behind 3 ex-wives and a son who does not visit his grave. I'm 87 years old, and I am the most peaceful person I know. Tonight, before I go, I am going to tell you why every motivational speech, every self-help book, every morning routine you have been sold is a lie. And I am going to tell you what I learned from a man named Henry, who walked into my library every Tuesday for 30 years. He taught me the only true thing about happiness anyone has ever told me. Have you ever noticed that every single advertisement is selling you a problem you did not know you had? Skin care for imperfections you would never have noticed. Productivity apps for time you did not realize you were wasting. Supplements for deficiencies no doctor ever found. Therapy for traumas you would not have remembered without a podcast telling you to look for them. If you woke up tomorrow morning content with your life, if you looked at your ceiling and you said, "I have enough," you would become useless to the entire economy. A multi-trillion-dollar economy cannot run on contented people. It needs you to feel that something is missing. So they invented a sickness, and they called it unfulfilled potential. Then they sold you the cure. The wellness industry is worth $4.4 trillion. The self-help industry is worth $11 billion. The skincare industry, the productivity industry, the optimization industry. Every single one of them depends on you waking up tomorrow morning and feeling that you are not enough. You are enough. You have always been enough. They cannot afford to let you believe that. I want to tell you about a young woman who came into my library in 1995. She was perhaps 28 years old. She came up to my desk in tears, exhausted, and she asked me where the books on time management were. I asked her one question. I said, "What are you trying to manage your time for?" She stared at me. She could not answer, not for 30 seconds. Then she started crying again, and she left the library, and I never saw her again. She had been told her entire life that her time was a resource to be optimized. She had never once been told that her time was simply her life. That woman is now in her late 50s. I think about her sometimes. I hope someone somewhere told her she could stop running. I hope she did not spend the last 30 years optimizing herself into the ground. This is what they are doing to you, and they are getting better at it every year. But before I tell you how to escape it, I need to tell you about Henry. The first time I met him in 1972, I thought he was the saddest man I had ever seen. By the time he died, he was the most peaceful person I have ever known. The difference between those two things is what I want to teach you tonight. Henry walked into my library in October of 1972. I was 33 years old. He was about 50. He wore an expensive coat that did not fit him anymore. His face was gaunt. His eyes were the deadest eyes I have ever seen on a living man. I learned slowly who he was. He had been a banker in Boston for 25 years. He had made a great deal of money. He had a stroke at 49 that nearly killed him. While he was in the hospital recovering, his wife filed for divorce. His 2 children stopped speaking to him. When he was well enough to leave the hospital, he had $1 million in the bank and nobody to share a Tuesday afternoon with. So he started coming to my library. Every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, he would sit in the same chair by the window. He would read poetry. He would read philosophy. He would read books about gardens and birds. I asked him once in 1975, "Henry, what are you looking for?" He looked up at me and he said, "Marion, I am not looking for anything anymore. That is the trick. I spent 50 years looking. It almost killed me. Now I just come here and read." I did not understand him then. I thought he had given up. I thought he was depressed. I felt sorry for him. Then I started watching him. Over the next 30 years, I watched Henry quietly build a life out of nothing. He bought a small house in Cambridge. He started a vegetable garden. He adopted a dog. He learned the names of every postal worker on his route. He read 3 books a week. He never tried to rebuild his career. He never tried to win back his children, though he sent them a card every birthday for 25 years. He never remarried. He never traveled. He never accomplished anything that anyone would write down in an obituary. He died in 2002. He was 80 years old. His dog was at his feet. His daughter had finally come back to see him 3 months before he died, and she had brought her own children with her. He met his grandchildren that summer. I went to his funeral. There were 11 people there. And I realized, standing in the back of that small chapel, that Henry had given me the only true wisdom I had ever received. I had been too busy trying to fix my own life to notice it. Tonight, I am going to give it to you. Voice firm, deliberate authority mode. You are carrying a backpack. You do not know you are carrying it. It is full of bricks. And every single brick in that bag was placed there by somebody who profits from your exhaustion. Let me tell you what is in your backpack. There is a brick that says, "I need to make 6 figures by 35. There is a brick that says, "I need to wake up at 5 a.m. and journal. There is a brick that says, "I need to find my purpose." There is a brick that says, "I need to be in the best shape of my life." There is a brick that says, "I need to be authentic on social media." There is a brick that says, "I need to optimize my sleep, my diet, my relationships, my morning, my evening, my breath." Every brick was sold to you by somebody who needed you to be unhappy enough to buy the next thing. I see what your generation has done to itself. You wear rings on your fingers that tell you how well you slept. You drink powders made of grass. You sit in tubs of ice water at 5 in the morning. You schedule meditation like it is a dentist appointment. You are trying to engineer your way into peace. You are the most medicated generation in human history, and every year you get more anxious. Every year you sleep worse. Every year the industry gets richer. And then there is the rectangle in your pocket, the small glowing rectangle that shows you the highlight reels of 8 billion strangers. Every time you look at that screen, you are shown someone younger than you, richer than you, more attractive than you, more accomplished than you. They are smiling on a beach. They are doing yoga in front of a mountain. They are holding a baby in a clean white kitchen. They are lying to you. I have lived 87 years. I have known thousands of people. I have never once met a truly happy person who needed to prove it. The people who perform happiness on the internet are the most miserable human beings on the planet. They are putting on a play, and you are sitting in the audience, hating your own real, beautiful, ordinary life because it does not look like their fake one. In 100 years, every person whose approval you are chasing right now will be dead. Every person you are afraid of disappointing, gone. Every stranger on the internet whose life you envy, dust. You are agonizing over a play in a theater that is going to be demolished tomorrow. Henry told me one sentence on a Tuesday in 1998 that I have carried for 28 years. I am going to tell it to you now. In the spring of 1998, I was 59 years old, and I was falling apart. I had just gone through a long, quiet divorce. I had spent the previous year trying to find meaning. I had read 15 self-help books. I had tried therapy. I had tried church. I had tried a meditation retreat in upstate New York that cost me $3,000 and left me feeling worse than when I went in. Nothing worked. Henry came into the library on a Tuesday in April. He was 76 years old. He sat down across from me at the reference desk. He looked at me for a long moment, and then he said one sentence. He said, "Marion, you do not have a meaning problem. You have a chasing problem. Stop chasing. The thing you are looking for is sitting on top of you." I did not understand him at first. I walked home that night through Boston Common, and I thought about it for hours. The thing I was looking for was sitting on top of me. What did that mean? That winter I stopped. I stopped reading self-help books. I canceled my therapy appointments. I let my gym membership expire. I stopped trying to find anything. I started sitting on my back porch in the mornings with a cup of cheap coffee, and I did absolutely nothing for 1 hour every day. Within 6 months, I was the calmest I had been in 40 years. Here is what Henry meant. Here is what I am telling you tonight. Happiness is not a destination. It is not at the top of a mountain. It is not waiting at the end of a goal. It is not hiding inside a morning routine. Happiness is what shows up when you finally stop running. The thing you are looking for is sitting on top of you. It has been sitting on top of you your entire life. You cannot see it because you will not stop moving long enough to notice. Tomorrow morning, I want you to do something radical. Do not journal. Do not meditate. Do not affirm. Do not optimize. Do not check your sleep ring. Do not drink anything green. Go outside. Look at a tree and say to yourself, I have nothing to achieve today. I am allowed to just be here. Do this for 1 week. If at the end of 1 week you are not more peaceful than you have been in years, go back to the apps and the rings and the green powders. But I have lived 87 years, and I have never once met a person who did this for 1 week and went back. Quitting the game is not weakness. It is the most powerful thing a human being can do. They cannot sell anything to a woman who already has enough. They cannot frighten a man who is at peace. Your contentment is the only thing in this world they truly fear. I am 87. I live in a small cabin. I have almost nothing to my name, and I am the freest person I know. Quit. Sit down. Drop the bag. The mountain becomes easy when you stop carrying everything they told you that you needed. That is the truth they have been hiding from you.